Good morning, everyone. Sure hope you had a wonderful Holy Week and had a great Easter. It's always nice to celebrate. I think the more we celebrate, the more we enjoy life, the better. But I'd like you to continue praying for people who are in need of a special visit from God. So please remember our retired Vincentians in Perryville, Missouri. And then remember friends of the mission who are in need of God's healing and a special miracle. So I'd like you to remember Karen and Lisa and Loretta, Louise and Nina, Sharon and Pat and Patty and Terry. And also to remember Bill and Brian and Clarence and Jack and Stan. I'd like you to remember all of these people, and they are in need of God's healing, in need of our prayers. Like I say, we celebrated. My brother and I had a great mission, Holy Week mission in Corpus Christi, and now it's the Easter season, and all I kept thinking about in terms of giving some reflection and inspiration was a phrase that I used myself throughout my seminary days, especially the early days when I was in the novitiate. and the reflection today is based on a question that I had then, and it was this: what's next? It was just like, everything was scheduled, and everything you were scheduled pretty much the whole day. And so I used to always think, what's next? And after celebrating, the real feast days of our faith, Holy Week, and Holy Thursday and Good Friday and Easter Sunday. So what's next? So this whole Easter season, my reflection for what's next is I ought to recapture the joy of those celebrations. I ought to recapture the joy of Eucharist. When I think of Holy Thursday, and I kept thinking, Jesus having this last meal with people he loved and people he entrusted the church to, like us. And so I want to recapture that, and to recapture the joy of having a ticket to heaven that Jesus won. And we celebrated that on Good Friday. And then Easter Sunday, we the celebration of the victory. And so there's so much joy in that, because it's like everybody with a commitment of faith to God, we have our own Easter. And so for me, what's next is to recapture on and on and on, that I don't have to sacrifice just during Lent. I don't have to just really enjoy the celebration of Jesus instituting Eucharist and priesthood on Holy Thursday. I can do that often. And so that's what I offered it when I think of what's next. It's to recapture the joy of the celebration of the meaning of what we did last week at Holy Week. We're still in Arizona. Just finished up our mission, and so my brother is here to share some of his thoughts.
All right, I have a thought. Here's a thought. We just had 40 days of Lent, and we took the time to. It's somewhat sad and somewhat serious, because we reflect on what Jesus did for us, and especially his suffering and death. So we had 40 days of Easter. My thought is now, or 40 days of Lent, we now need 40 days of Easter. We need that to balance. We just did 40 days of Lent. Now we need 40 days of Easter. So here's my thought. Maybe we ought to be more joyful and make our humor more evident, laugh more, share stories of good times, talk about good things. There's enough bad news around. And perhaps 40 days of Easter means we're going to be the happy, joyful people that Jesus died for. You know, St. Augustine, the great doctor of the church, said that we are an Easter people, and Alleluia is our song. Well, then perhaps we need to sing that song. The great writer Hilaire Belloc said that we are at our best. Catholics are our best. There is music, laughter, and good red wine. And that's pretty true, that when we are at our best, we are Easter people. We're not Lenten people. We're not focusing on the terrible death. It didn't end on Good Friday. It ended on Easter Sunday. He rose from the dead. And he conquered evil, and he saved us. So the 40 days of Easter ought to be time of great joy. They tell me that joy, the virtue of joy, is to reserve a place for Jesus and relax in his presence. So that's what I'm going to try to do for the next 40 days especially. Then hopefully it goes on forever. But at least for the next 40 days, we balance the 40 days of Lent with the 40 days of Easter. So I encourage you to be more humorous and to laugh more, to experience greater happiness and joy in your conversations with others. And perhaps in 40 days, we'll look back and say, that was great. We did a great job during Lent, and now we did a great job during the 40 days of Easter. We always end our video with a prayer, and it's always our special prayer, our mission prayer. So I invite you to join me as we conclude. Divine Savior, transform me into yourself. May my hands be your hands, may my tongue be your tongue. Grant that every faculty of my body may serve only to glorify you. Above all, transform my soul in all its powers, that my memory, my will, and my affections may be the memory, the will, and the affections of you. I pray you to destroy in me all that is not of you. Grant that I may live but in you and by you and for you, and that I may truly say with St. Paul, I live now, not I, but Christ lives in me. Thanks for listening. Don't forget, next Monday, you hear Bob again, and then on Wednesday this week, you'll have a written reflection. God bless.